It could take a beating, and then another, and then fly home. American pilots soon realized something. The heavier the Thunderbolt got, the more powerful it became. Because its size wasn't a flaw, it was armor. Luftwaffe ace Adolf Galland later admitted, the American .50 caliber was the most dangerous weapon of the war. German pilots learned this quickly. One second they mocked the Thunderbolt. The next, they were diving for their lives as streams of tracers stitched across the sky. And when they tried to follow a diving P-47, wings snapped, control surfaces tore off, engines oversped. The German fighters simply could not keep up. As the war continued, the P-47 changed roles. No longer just a high-altitude escort, it became one of the finest ground attack aircraft ever built. The Thunderbolt could carry bombs, rockets, long-range fuel tanks, and still fight like a proper fighter. It flattened supply lines, destroyed trains, hunted tanks, and wiped out armored convoys. German ground troops feared it more than almost any other Allied aircraft. They nicknamed it the Jabo Terror, the fighter-bomber terror. Luftwaffe pilot Johannes Steinhoff recalled, the Thunderbolt was almost impossible to bring down. Every hole in its thick armor, every shattered plate, every smoking engine. The plane kept coming. The P-47 produced some of the most successful American aces of World War II. Names like Francis Gabreski, Robert S. Johnson, George Bostwick. These pilots proved what the plane could do in the right hands. Johnson's Thunderbolt once took over 200 hits from German guns and still made it home. German pilots couldn't believe it. Some insisted the Americans were lying, until they saw the wreckage for themselves. The P-47 Thunderbolt was a reminder that first impressions can be wrong, very wrong. It wasn't pretty, it wasn't elegant, but it was powerful, durable, relentless. They laughed at it. A massive, overweight flying milk bottle. German pilots joked that the Americans had built a fighter that couldn't climb, couldn't turn, and certainly couldn't win a dogfight. But that laughter ended the moment they met it in the sky. The moment they saw 8.50 caliber Browning machine guns lighting up the clouds like thunder. When they realized that no matter how many holes they punched into it, the P-47 Thunderbolt refused to die. And soon, German pilots stopped laughing. They started running. This is the story of how one of the most underestimated fighters of World War II became one of the most feared machines in the skies. Stay with me until the end, because the transformation of the P-47 is one of the most dramatic in aviation history. When the P-47 Thunderbolt first appeared over Europe in 1943, Luftwaffe pilots couldn't believe what they were seeing. It wasn't sleek. It wasn't elegant like the Bf-109 or FW-190. It was enormous, nearly twice the weight of most frontline fighters. German intelligence reports mocked it. Some pilots even compared it to a barrel with wings. And early on, they had reasons to laugh. The plane consumed fuel like a monster. Its climb rate was disappointing, and its turning radius, embarrassing. But what the Luftwaffe didn't know was this. They were witnessing only the beginning, not the monster the Thunderbolt would soon become. At the heart of the Thunderbolt was the Pratt & Whitney R2800 engine, a massive air-cooled radial, capable of generating over 2,000 horsepower. Most German fighters relied on liquid-cooled engines. They performed well, until a single bullet cracked a coolant line. The P-47? No coolant, no radiator, no fragile piping. German pilots expected the P-47 to be slow in a dogfight. What they didn't expect was the firepower. 8 Browning M250 caliber machine guns, 4 in each wing, capable of firing 13 pounds of lead per second. A single burst could shred a bomber, tear off a fighter's wing, or saw through armored ground targets. Early Thunderbolt pilots struggled. The plane was big, heavy, and sluggish at low altitude. But at high altitude, it was a different monster. With a massive turbo supercharger feeding oxygen to the engine, the P-47 became a high-altitude killer, diving with terrifying speed. American pilots developed a tactic: boom and zoom. Dive at 450 miles per hour, fire a devastating burst, climb back to altitude. German fighters couldn't match the speed. They couldn't outrun it, and they couldn't take the punishment. Soon, Thunderbolts were escorting bombers deep into Germany. The laughter was over. The FW-190 was one of Germany's best fighters, agile, fast, deadly. But in a dive, the P-47 was almost untouchable. It could reach speeds no German fighter dared approach. FW-190 pilots reported the Thunderbolt as the heaviest diving aircraft in the war. By mid-1944, the Thunderbolt's reputation had transformed completely. German pilots who once laughed at its size now feared encountering it alone. Because they knew the Thunderbolt could dive faster, climb higher, hit harder, and survive damage no German plane could endure. Even the advanced German Me-262 jet struggled to escape the P-47's wrath. How? Because the Thunderbolt hunted the jets during takeoff and landing, when they were most vulnerable. One of the first American pilots to shoot down a jet did so in a P-47 Thunderbolt. The aircraft that Germany once dismissed as a joke was now defeating the world's first operational fighter jet. The P-47 Thunderbolt, nicknamed the Jug, became one of the most successful fighters of the entire war. It destroyed 7,000-plus enemy aircraft, thousands of tanks, over 80,000 trucks, vehicles, and locomotives. It protected bombers, crushed the Luftwaffe, and shaped the outcome of the European air war. Not bad for a plane the enemy once laughed at. German pilots mocked it, then feared it, then respected it. In the end, the Thunderbolt became one of the most iconic aircraft of World War II, a symbol of American engineering, firepower, and air dominance. If you enjoyed this documentary, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe to Conflict Frame for more deep dive history that brings the past to life. Thank you for watching.